Hey guys, welcome back, and if you're new to the show then thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoy this one, which will be taking a closer look at the behind the scenes of the original Far Cry. Still one of my favourites in the series, other than maybe 2, 3 and 4, and hopefully soon number 5. So let's begin at the start of the game, where we find ourselves in this sewer-like tunnel, and when we look up we can see what looks like daylight, and I always wondered what was outside the top. After taking the camera outside, we can see that it's actually just a white box placed over the top of the tunnel to give the impression of sky. But then if we take the camera further up, we can come out from underneath the map of the first island.
Listen, dirtbag.
As we make our way through this first section, we come across Crow, one of the game's bad guys. But what if we didn't trigger this scene by taking the camera out first? Is Crow still there? Well, we can see Crow is still there, but the character he's talking to doesn't appear until we hit the trigger point. Interestingly, as this location is a place we wouldn't normally be able to access or explore, this scene also takes place within the inside of the first island's map.
I suggest you avoid the open sea. Their radar systems will pick you up easily on the water. They have attack helicopters guarding this whole area.
Alright, you lazy SOBs. Search every inch of this damn island. Let's figure out what the hell is going on here. Can do.
We then see Crow talk to this lazy SOB and walk away behind the tent. I was interested to know if when the helicopter he's supposed to fly away on takes off, is he on board? Well, we can just about see that he is on board, albeit with his head through the roof, but it doesn't just disappear like I thought it would. The second mission, Carrier, all takes place within the inside of a beached ship. But I just wanted to show how at the end of the first mission, before we board the ship, how the interior to the carrier is missing, as you'd probably imagine it would be. Near to the end of the mission fort, as we're waiting for Doyle to open the secure door, a V-22 drops off more enemies. But where does this V-22 come from? It turns out it's just waiting over the top of these hills, and throughout the game I found various attack choppers waiting just outside the borders of the missions, which are of course the attack choppers that kill you if you try to escape into open water, and we'll see a bit more of these later on.
They have attack helicopters guarding this whole area.
On the mission research, when we go through this secure gate in the cave, we get a small clip of a mercenary being attacked, and for the first time in the game we get a glimpse of a trigen. However, if we take the camera through the gate without activating the clip, check it out! We can find the mercenary in the good old T-pose waiting to be attacked. Not only that, but if we fly the camera through this cave wall, we can then find the trigen. Now, you may be wondering why it's out here at the back of the map. Well, that's because if we take another look at the clip and zoom in and then slow it down, we can see the trigen clip through the wall. What I enjoyed about exploring Far Cry is when we may be on a mission that is largely based underground, the levels are mainly inset with the islands above, so normally we wouldn't be able to see out of this door. But the base map for the next mission, albeit without objects like trees, is already waiting outside, and we can even fly the camera back over the top of the hills to the previous section of the mission. Another good example of this is on the mission control, where at the very start of the mission I was curious to find out what was outside the tunnel we so-called just dropped into. Well, it turns out there was nothing much, but then when I flew the camera up and fully out of this map, I found this checkered base map representing the layout of the island above. Now this checkered texture I believe is sometimes used to see how the contour of the map flows and to find problems like stretching and overlapping, and it also looks kinda cool if you've not seen it before. Let's now move on to one of the many Easter eggs that Far Cry holds. Now this one is rather strange, and I don't mean because part of this skeleton is missing. It's strange in the sense that you wouldn't get to see it whilst playing the game normally. The only way you can see it is to use NoClip, so it was clearly hidden on purpose for people to find whilst exploring. Let's go and take a look. So here we come to this solid grill. You can't see through it, and I've never found a way to make it move, but on the other side, check out what we find. Also, whilst we're in the same corridor as the spineless skeleton, if we go down it to the end, there's this doorway that's blocked off. Now, whether this was going to be part of the level that led somewhere but was then abandoned, I'm not entirely sure. And whilst we're on the topic of Easter eggs, check this one out that I haven't seen documented or shown in any other video from what I can find. It's not that it's difficult to see, in fact most people who've played the game may have noticed this, but maybe not picked up on what it actually is. It's hidden over here in the corner of this room, and it's a corner that you don't necessarily need to come to, but if you do, you can find this monitor that's playing a looped sequence of swimming fish. This is the only time throughout the game I could find this monitor, and for those who remember Windows XP from 2001, you may remember this as a screensaver. Now I'm pretty sure this has to be an Easter egg because check it out, here's the screensaver from back in the day, and if you take a closer look you can see the rocks and the plants are roughly the same colours and laid out the same. And if you want to check out this little gem of an Easter egg, replay the mission Cooler. I mentioned earlier about how the attack choppers are located in various positions on the islands, and here's the one with Crow on that attacks us after we sink the ship. If you wondered where it came from, let's go and take a look all the way over on this island in the distance. You may think I'm crazy for wanting to know these things, but another little part of the game I was curious to find out about but couldn't see from any normal position was where does the water come from for these waterfalls? Was there a lake or a river behind them? Well, as you can see, it turns out there's neither, but I did manage to find another abandoned machine gun. Back to Easter eggs now, and there are quite a few little ones we can find lying around, like these magazine covers. Some of my favourites include this one, Redneck Today, which says it features big trucks, big boobs, big mullets and big guns, but what you may not know is the exclusive interview who is with David March. Well, he happens to be one of the development team. Another magazine that we can find translates to In the Hell of Coburg. Now, Coburg being a town in Germany where Crytek Studios was created, but then moved to Frankfurt. And we can find various references to Coburg, including this calendar, and if you look Coburg up, you may come across a picture of this building. One thing that we haven't done during this episode is take a look at our very own character. In this case, of course, we play as Jack, so let's take a closer look at his model. And we can see pretty much the same as always. We've got some eyes inside the model and a mouth with some nice looking teeth there. Pretty standard stuff. On the mission factory, there's this room that has a large pool of water inside, with these capsules. The thing is, we can't normally access this room, and weirdly, the capsules are pretty much all empty, apart from two. Not that you can really see inside of them from through the windows in the other room, but the Trigens inside kinda look like an old, low poly creation from an early 90s game. There are a few doors in the game that we don't go through, like this one that even has a security keypad, which makes you think you would need to access it at some point. However, like the others, there is nothing on the other side. Normally when we exit through this opening at the end of the mission, we get a small cutscene and we don't really get to see what's beyond the opening. But check it out, there's actually quite a lot of unused map out here. Now, because it's something that we wouldn't normally get to look at, I thought it would be pretty cool to take a quick look around and show you guys what's inside the volcano before we enter it for the last mission. When I first flew the camera up to the top of the volcano, I genuinely expected it just to be flat, but surprisingly, even though you would never see it whilst playing the game, the developers gave the volcano a crater. Pretty cool stuff. The last thing I want to show you guys in this episode is this random room hidden behind this door that yet again we don't access. Why it's here I'm not too sure, maybe it was going to be used and then discarded. However, that is it for this one. I really hope you've enjoyed the show and I hope to catch you back here soon at Slippy Slides. Until next time, and as always, take care guys.
Jack, take a look into the future.